Alright, we're going to go through a couple things on your bench here. Already I'm seeing some improvements with your setup compared to what you normally do, which is good. I think changing the way that you bench can make improvements in the future. I was kind of leery to do so in the past, just because you've been benching so much the same way for such a long time, and it's worked really well for you. I didn't really want to start messing stuff around and changing it, thinking that it may do more harm than good. But since we're on this road to change some things around, we'll see how it goes and go from there. So the first thing I want to go through with you here is that, like I said, everything you're doing so far is already better than what you're doing before, already seeing some improvements. So don't let these future changes get in the way of some positive progress you've already made. So when we start on this here, you already have a pretty significant arch here. You may want to play around with using a belt and not using a belt. I know some individuals, they can get a better arch without a belt. I know if I use a belt, my arch is basically, I can't get as large of an arch with a belt on, and it causes some material to get in the way. So you may want to play around with that and just see if that hinders you at all. And then the second thing is you're packing your shoulders down pretty well here, basically bringing them down and back towards your butt, making sure that your scapula are really retracted. The biggest thing here though is that as soon as you unrack that bar, where that arch just completely went away. So you can see before you unrack it here, you have a really big arch here. Like, this is really good, and your chest is really high. But as soon as you unrack that bar, it just all deflates, and even when you go to basically take your breath and start going, it's completely gone. So the best thing you can do to keep that arch is to set up, and then as soon as you do, make sure your leg drive is already part of your lift. So you can see when you start the movement, your legs are pretty shallow and then they go. So they're basically not doing anything and then they push. What you want that to do is you want to start your leg drive already having tightness when you unrack the bar, and then keep around 50% of your leg tightness while the bar is descending to your chest, and then as soon as you go to press, you add that other 50% of your leg drive to make that 100%. So what that would look like is, we'll look at my setup here just because I kind of know how I do it, and I can explain it really well with mine. Like I said before, by no means do you have to copy my setup at all. It may work, it may not. I'd rather you do what feels comfortable and what feels natural for you. So once I get my legs set here, my legs are really tight. My glutes are contracted all the way on the bench. My hamstrings are contracted. I'm pulling my legs back towards the bench, almost like I'm trying to leg curl my legs in. Then I'm pushing my heels down towards the floor to really create a lot of lateral force, or forces from my legs pushing back towards my head and towards the rack. And what that translates to is, right here, I'm already pushing with my legs, and I'm pushing my back into the bench, which is then causing me to really have this really large arch here. And then as soon as I unrack, that arch doesn't really go anywhere. It stays exactly the same, and that's because my legs are driving my back into that bench and keeping that arch stable throughout the entire movement, instead of deflating as soon as the bar comes out. And then as soon as I get the bar down, my legs go boom, like that. It's almost like a J pattern of the bar coming down and then back up, down and then back up. And you can see my legs, they retract and then contract right back to the bar, like that. One thing you can do to make your unrack a little bit easier, I was just talking to Ian about this today, so I already have this video kind of set up for him as well, is that you should use your leg drive to help you unrack the actual bar. So instead of setting your back all the way, and then as soon as you unrack, you let it all go, now you're in this collapsed position. You want to set your back all the way, and then you want to use your leg drive to push your back into the bench, and then it's just a slight unrack of the bar before you start coming down. Instead of you're here, you unrack it, and then your arms are basically in front of you, and your shoulder position is completely lost. So what that looks like is, you see here, right here, I push into the bar, I'm pushing back into my shoulder blades, into the bench, and then that bar comes right out. I'm almost rowing that bar out. So instead of pushing the bar, I keep my arms where they are, and then I'm just slowly rowing it out. And that allows you to keep your shoulder blades exactly where they are. So when we come here, you can see, if you go back to your start position, you're set up really well here, and then as soon as you take the bar out, you bring it out, and then your entire chest collapses and your shoulders move back down. Basically, they change from where your start position is, which puts them in an unfavorable position. And then, like I said, your leg drive isn't consistent throughout the movement, so it only comes in when you start pressing back. It should really be, you should already be pushing back with your legs as soon as you unrack the bar. And then just you keep that leg drive continuous throughout the entire movement until that bar hits your chest. You push back with your legs and your arms as well. If this made sense, I hope it did. If it didn't, please ask for clarification on some of these points. If something didn't make sense, let me know and I can go over it again, or in a different way. If something did make sense and it really clicked with you, let me know so I know exactly what you're thinking about this, and what your thoughts are. So.